Welcome back, everybody. We are here in California, in San Diego, in one of the oldest gyms in America, Stearns Gym, which is an incredible old school facility. A lot of the pieces here have been here since 1940, whenever this place first opened, which is really, really cool. We are training back, and we'll do a little bit of biceps as well today. So starting off on the pullover machine, which most people won't have available to use, but you can replace it with just a typical cable pullover instead. That will hit the exact same range of motion. I'm using the machine here today because it's a bit of a novelty to have a really cool pullover machine like this. There is a very slight difference between using a cable pullover versus a machine like this, and it all does come down to this little guy here, which is what's called a cam. As we go through the range of motion, this does change how that load is interacting with our body to increase or decrease or just change the resistance through the range of motion. But all the nerdy stuff aside, we're just looking at doing a more isolated, stable lat exercise to put a lot of blood into the area. We're working at around 8 to 12-ish reps. We're gonna hit 3 sets here, and then we're gonna move on. Common mistake that people make when they're doing a pullover motion, whether it's with a machine or with dumbbells or with a cable, is they go into this shoulder flex position here and then they arch their back to try to get more range of motion. And what you got to think about here is we're trying to work this lat muscle that goes from here to here. So when we do a pullover with a cable or dumbbell or whatever, we might get to this range of motion here, but if you then arch your back, you've done nothing to change the range of motion for the lat fibers. What you should be doing, instead of keeping that pelvis or the lower back area fixed and focusing on stretching back to get that full range of motion from the shoulder joint. So watch out for that next time you're doing any pullover thing, is just make sure you keep this torso area relatively rigid and focus on getting into this complete shoulder flex position. Once you get here, if you want to go into a little bit of extra arch for comfort, go for it. Just make sure you're not compromising shoulder range and going into spinal or pelvis range instead to make up for that. Second exercise, we're training the high row. And again, this is another exercise everyone's gonna be like, oh my God, Eugene, I don't have this machine. Doesn't matter. You don't need to be having a cable that goes into the ceiling, pulling on the diagonal line. You can do this using a typical cable station. You can use using a lat pull down as well with a certain bench setup. Just get yourself into a position where the line of force is pulling you on a diagonal and step back from that. This is different to a straight horizontal row or a straight vertical row. This diagonal pulling motion here helps to line things up a little bit better with those lat muscles. This high row machine, there's actually 2, maybe even 3 high row machines in here. These machines have just fallen by the wayside for whatever reason. They're really popular decades ago when it came to bodybuilding, but for no good reason that I know of, they just sort of disappeared. But they are a really effective way to be training the lat muscles. So what we're doing here is we're doing sets of about 8 to 10 reps. We're going to hit, again, just 3 sets. Here we are going to push beyond failure. So what you'll see me do here are some rest pause sets where I push to 8 to 10-ish reps, then I rest and let myself relax completely for about 5 to 10 seconds, and then I'll go again to failure, rest again, and then go again, and that will count just as 1 set. Then I'll do 3 total sets like that. I'm doing this here on the row as opposed to doing it on the pullover machine is because that pullover machine, as much as I do like it, it actually felt a little bit awkward to be going all the way back into that stretch position, and I wasn't confident on that exercise, which is a new exercise because I haven't done it in 3 years. I wasn't confident pushing that to a failure point in that really stretched out, slightly awkward, slightly uncomfortable position. But if I was doing a cable pullover, I probably would have done the exact same thing where I pushed to that failure point as well. The last exercise today, we're finishing up with biceps. We're doing a cable biceps curls. I like cables because it's loading up that lengthened or that stretched out position. So normally if I'm doing, say, dumbbells or barbells or some machines as well, when I'm in that stretched to a bottom position with the dumbbell in hand, there's no force being directed through my biceps that I can hang out here forever. But with a cable, or maybe even like on a preacher bench as well, in that stretch position, there is a fair amount of load going through my biceps. And we're looking at it from a muscle building perspective, there seems to be some benefits of training the muscle more in that lengthened position as opposed to these mid to shorten ranges. Not that these positions here are bad, but if you want to be driving more towards muscle building, this may be a little bit better, but who knows really. For all intents and purposes, I'm at least just doing this for a little bit of variety. I'm not always just doing dumbbells or preacher curls. I'm doing a little bit of machine stuff sometimes, and today we are doing cables. So we're doing 3 sets here of about 12 to 15-ish reps, and we are pushing these closest to failure and then going beyond failure with a couple of extra rest pause sets. So I'm going to that first 10 to 12-ish reps, resting for about 5 to 10 seconds, and then going for another 3 or 4 reps, so however many I can handle, and try and do that a couple of times around. All right, that's it for today. It's only 3 exercises, and honestly, there are a lot of gaps in this workout. So the 2 exercises that we did for back, they are a lot more focused on the lats. There wasn't much work for the shoulder blade retractors or the scapular retractors or those upper back muscles like the traps and the rhomboids. If I was to do more exercise, it would be something like a higher arm path kind of row for more of the rear delt upper back stuff, or maybe some kind of a pull down in that kind of wide arc position as well. The reason why I'm not doing it today is because we want to go to the zoo and spend some time there because we are on holiday, and we are just going to get some work in here, and then we're going to come back probably tomorrow, and then I'll hit upper back tomorrow, or maybe even later today. Who knows? I don't know. But that's all for today. Hope you guys enjoyed the workout, and see you guys next time. What's that? Another workout in the same video? Yeah, so it is now 2 days after that last workout that's on the start of this video. We'll come back and we're doing the second part of the back workout, or a separate back workout if you want to call it that. Today we are focusing on the upper back. So we're focusing a lot more on getting as much movement through the shoulder blades as possible and really stretching the arms and the shoulder blades forwards into a deep, deep stretch. So starting here on the T-bar row, we're doing 3 sets of about 15 to 20 reps, really emphasizing that stretch portion. We're holding down there for a count of about 1 to 3-ish seconds, depending on how quickly you count. Contrast that with what I was doing at the start of the video when I was doing more lat stuff, such as that high row or the pullover machine here. I wasn't having much of an emphasis on that stretch position. I would still stretch out, but I'd be stretching up in this diagonal plane, as opposed to really letting my shoulder blades be pulled forwards into this hunchback posture. Now, this hunchback posture is really important to really stretch out all those muscles that sit in the middle part of your back and let them roll out and stretch open. So I really like to use the T-bar row for this. We have a chest support. You can do this without the chest support. You can do it single arm with a dumbbell row as well. But I just find having that anchor point gives me a very stable position to really let my body wrap around and open up everything through that mid-back area right between the shoulder blades. And then as I pull back, I'm focusing on squeezing as much as I can, which I wasn't doing as much on the other back stuff I was doing at the start of the week, where I was more focusing on pulling my elbows down in this kind of arcing motion. Today is focusing on not arcing, but pulling back and around. So for this workout, you could do this all as one giant workout where you did the lat stuff with the other day, the 2 exercises, and do this exercise now, and then what we're going to do next. But there's nothing wrong with doing it in 2 separate workouts as well. This is technically 2 distinct regions of the back, which you could technically break up as 2 distinct workouts, like we're doing today. But there's no reason why you can't push it all together, because really it's not that much work either. Final reason why I like this as opposed to a freestanding, unsupported row is because just yesterday we were training legs and we did a lot of heavy Romanian deadlifts, and my lower back, my posterior chain is all fatigued. So I know for sure if I was doing a hard set, say 15 to 20 reps, it would be my lower body that would give out well before my upper back does. So yeah, chest support when you need it. All right, next exercise, we are doing a pull down from a straight vertical overhead position. And technically speaking, if you want to get really, really nerdy about this, trying to get as much rear delt out of this as possible. So on the exercise before this, when we were doing the T-bar row, I had my arm path very, very high. And I was pulling out, focusing on my shoulder blades, moving as far back together as possible. Now for a rear delt, I'm tucking my elbows in a little bit more to let my arms travel as far behind my body as possible into what's called shoulder extension. The more of that you can do, the more you're going to get this rear delt here into a shorter position and take it through its full range of motion. And the opposite of that would be pulling the arms not just to here, but to fully stretch out the rear delts, you have to come all the way overhead to lengthen out that tissue, which is slightly different to the upper back, where if I come from say here to here, that's the upper back stretching forwards. But the rear delts don't change as much. Not until I come into that overhead line of pull, not even diagonal, but straight overhead, do I get those rear delts. Now, really, for all intents and purposes, you don't need to worry too much about that. As long as you're hitting a variety of pulls from different angles, from a horizontal angle, from a diagonal high to low, diagonal low to high, and vertical as well, you're going to be hitting all of your back muscles. Don't need to overthink it too much. In terms of arm path as well, do whatever feels most comfortable. You'll normally find going from a certain direction may allow you to pull your elbows in a certain direction as well. So don't get too nitpicky over this. Just make sure you're hitting your muscle from a variety of different angles. All right, last exercise for today, we are finishing up on a side lying dumbbell lateral raise. So doing 3 sets here of about 12 to 15-ish reps, lying at about I don't know what that is, maybe like 45 or 30 or I don't know how many degrees it is. On the bench, raising straight up to the side. This exercise here really emphasizes that lengthened, stretched out position for the shoulder. So I am trying to reach as far as I can behind my body here, as long as I'm staying in some kind of active control of the weight. Okay, that's it for today, guys. Another 3 exercise workout. We did T-bar row, rear delt pull down, and some shoulder raises. Very short workout, it was about 30 minutes, and just like your work at the start of this session, you can stack these 2 together, or you can do them separately if you like, completely up to you. Or you can do something else altogether, I don't care, this is just my channel, I'm showing you what I do. You can do whatever you want. Anyway, I think I already said like and subscribe to the channel, all that kind of stuff. If I didn't, do like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because it helps to support this channel and the creation of more content just like this. So yeah, I've got nothing else, so I'll see you guys next time.